my car, my drink, and it's strong as weed. How the fuck my Dior, same color as my lane. 1200 for my hoodie, I ain't buy it to be seen.
React to a little bit of this shit.
15 years, however long it's gonna be. That Trey Songz.
Surviving Trey Songz, chat.
Gonna be crazier than the R. Kelly. Trey Songz is the most nasty, abusive.
Who the fuck is this?
Beats the out of women.
Ain't that like Roy or some shit?
Scum of the earth. Trey Songz is fucking disgusting. His doc is going to surpass. If you ever thought you could surpass an R. Kelly doc, I promise you, in 15 years, Trey Songz, his doc.
We don't need 15. Tremaine Alden Neverson, or simply known as Trey Songz, is, in my personal opinion, a disgusting freak, a sexual deviant, a repulsive.
Y'all heard about this shit or nah?
That I think if these
y'all heard about shit about Trey Songz or not, chat?
True, should be in prison for a very long time, like a million times longer than this video, simply because of the sheer amount of horrible stuff this man is accused of doing. I have more allegations on Trey Songz than I have ever covered for anyone on this channel times 2.
Damn.
He's accused of doing horrible things, taking advantage of numerous women, straight up not caring about consent, beating ladies and men up, potentially kidnapping people, the R word that violates autonomy several times. Jesus Christ. And the worst thing is, so many people in the music industry have aired this man out before, and he's still allegedly doing this. This is gonna be a lot. Disclaimer, these are all allegations brought to me by the public. I'm just here to put everything in one place. None of this is proven within a court of law unless specifically stated otherwise. So make up your own minds about it. This is 2012 Donna McIntosh Inoue. While it's not the worst thing he's ever done, this first story highlights impulsivity, and because of this, I think it's important to cover. August 22nd, around 4 a.m. in New York City, a club in Queens is buzzing with music blasting, cash flying, VIPs sipping overpriced champagne, and right in the middle of it all is Trey Songz. And he's about to get into one of the most bizarre altercations of his entire career, one that involves a phone, a photo, and a very expensive right hook. Meet Donna McIntosh Inoue. She's a nurse from Staten Island. That night, she and her husband decide to hit up Club Perfection, not for dancers, but to see Trey Songz. At the time, he was hosting a party for his new album. They even paid $700 just to sit in the VIP section with him. And at some point that night, Donna does what pretty much everyone else does when they see a celebrity in public. She pulls out her phone and snaps a photo. Big mistake. Trey notices, and he's clearly not happy, which is a huge surprise for Donna because she's not the only one taking photos right now. But nevertheless, he sets his sights on her regardless, immediately snatching away her phone to delete the picture. But, and this is the part,
we finna watch this shit.
She doesn't even know how to use her phone. So, frustrated and unable to delete the picture, he does what anybody else would do in this situation. He throws a fat stack of money at her face. And I don't mean some light disrespectful toss, no. According to Donna, he chucked it like he was Clayton Kershaw, effectively turning US currency into a dangerous weapon. And Donna, she is shocked. She says she didn't even realize she was bruised until after she had left the club. But when she looked in the mirror, yeah, her eye was swelling up like she was in the ring with Floyd Mayweather. But let's go back to
his ass dog. Why the fuck would he do that?
Trey Songz didn't apologize. He doesn't try to make things right. He just goes about his night like nothing had ever.
Trey Songz ain't had that energy for Crawford. Bro.
Happened. But Donna,
Crawford told his ass.
She goes straight to the police and files a report. And guess what? Just a few weeks later, Trey is arrested on misdemeanor assault and harassment charges. Seems like an open and shut case, right? A woman got hit in her face, a celebrity lost his temper, and now the law is involved. Well, not exactly. Police can't actually prove anything illegal took place. Apparently, even if Trey did throw that money, prosecutors claimed there was no clear case of misconduct. According to the Queens DA's office, there was no high level of recklessness.
That bitch drank Aquafina. I know she a liar.
Questions like, what's the official legal limit on throwing money at someone before it becomes a crime? Because I'm pretty sure if I go outside right now and I just throw a wad of cash at somebody and they get injured, I'm either catching the case or I'm catching some hands. But apparently, if you're a famous musician and you hit someone with money, as long as you don't do it with a high level of recklessness, you might just walk away scot-free.
There wasn't no witnesses to that shit, gang. That's why.
Trey Songz gets off the hook, and the story fades into obscurity. 2013. Megan Johnson. That is until 2013, where a woman named Megan Johnson would
attend an event
called Foxwoods Liquid Sundays with Trey Songz. This event took place in Connecticut. Fans flocked to the venue, eager to catch a glimpse of the star, sip expensive drinks, and bask in the summer heat. Among the crowd was Megan Johnson, but she wasn't just another fan. She was there with work associates, networking, enjoying the event from the VIP section.
Megan Johnson.
A day of fun, a carefree afternoon. She had no idea that she was mere minutes away from an encounter that would leave her permanently scarred and embarrassed forever on the internet. Now, thanks to a video recorded that day, we don't have to speculate about what happened next, because the evidence speaks for itself. Out of nowhere, Trey Songz appeared behind Megan, and in a matter of seconds, he ripped down her bikini top, exposing her in front of the entire party.
What?
For a moment, Megan froze. A mix of shock, confusion, and terror overwhelmed her. She kept her composure, even nervously smiling throughout the ordeal.
What?
But the nightmare wasn't over, because as she scrambled to cover herself, Trey began to chant.
City in the open! City in the open! I won't take a picture of that. City in the open! City in the open!
4 times, as if it were the hook to one of his songs. Laughter, cheers, music blaring. To the crowd, it was just another moment in the party. But to Megan, it was something entirely different. That night, Megan barely spoke. Back at her hotel, she took a long shower, scrubbing her skin raw, trying to wash away the shame, the humiliation, the feeling of being violated in front of strangers and her coworkers. She didn't report the incident, not then. Not the next day, not even the next year, because like so many other victims of public humiliation, she blamed herself. Maybe she should have been more careful. Maybe she should have reacted differently. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't as serious as she had felt. But time has a way of forcing the truth to the surface, and in December of 2021, nearly 9 years later, that moment came. Headlines exploded with news that Trey Songz had been arrested in Las Vegas for another alleged incident. And as Megan read through the accusations, something inside of her clicked. A moment she had buried deep, frozen in time, suddenly thawed, and for the first time she realized what had truly happened to her. She hadn't just been humiliated, she had been violated in a dehumanizing way. Megan came forward with her story, revealing disturbing details that remained locked in her head for nearly a decade. She remembered the fear, the anxiety, the moment her body felt like it didn't belong to her anymore. With her initial demand, and honestly, there's still a lot more to cover, so please consider engaging with this content if you appreciate the effort. Thank you. Now back to the video. 2015, 2 Jane Does.
This nigga been doing shit every year.
2 women.
Shout out to the 6 viewers on me. Get active in the chat right now. What's the word, y'all?
California home. What they expected was a star-studded celebration.
Bro, this nigga Trey Songz has been doing shit every year, chat. Every year they saying this nigga done did some shit. Nah, man, he out this bitch wildin'. Just with shorties though.
Was something they would never forget. Known publicly only as Jane Doe A and Jane Doe B, the 2 women alleged they were invited after Trey noticed a Snapchat post geotagged to Los Angeles. As soon as they arrived, things felt off. Security was tight. They had to give their phones
a Diddy party
and hand over the phones and walk into a house where nearly all of the guests were women. 4 bottles of liquor already opened, and despite drinking only a moderate amount, the women say they quickly begin to feel off. Then came a twerking contest.
Hey.
According to the complaint, Trey offered $3,000 to anyone willing to dance. The woman declined, and that's when the atmosphere allegedly turned threatening. Trey Songz began yelling, hurling bottles, and pressuring them to dance because he ordered them to. Security eventually escorted the 2 women.
Yeah, that shit is insane, bro.
That's where things get worse. Both women say they woke up the next morning bucket naked. Jane says the next thing she remembers is waking up undressed with Trey Songz performing things to her lower regions with his mouth.
Whoa.
She says that she had tried to push him away, but he simply just did not stop. Jane Doe B says she woke up to Songz biting her chest and using his fingers on her without her consent. Neither woman had any memory of consenting to relations with him, nor how they even got into the bedroom. Their physical state and fragmented memories led them to believe they had been drugged the night before. Afterwards, they say Trey demanded they shower with him. When they refused, he allegedly screamed, "You are little effing girls. Get the F out of my house." The woman left in shock. No police report, no hospital. But according to the attorney, they told their friends and family what had happened immediately upon returning home. Their stories matched, and 8 years
this
later,
shit wild, Peter.
By a temporary change in California law, lifting the statute of limitations, they filed a civil lawsuit. Whether or not the courts agree remained to be seen, but if these allegations are true, that night in 2015 wasn't just a party. It was a nightmare wrapped in fame and silence.
I wonder who else was there at the party.
Those two women filed a request with the Los Angeles Superior Court to dismiss their lawsuit without prejudice. This means they retain the option to refile the case in the future. The court documents did not specify whether a settlement had been reached or the reasons behind their decision to drop the lawsuit. One might think Trey and Songz must have came to some agreement behind the scenes and the raps. Although that is just a theory.
Lay down off.
These are all just allegations. 2016, Jane Doe. March 24th, 2016, a woman going by Jane Doe would get invited to a West Hills house party in Los Angeles by Trey Songz. Jane Doe and Trey had history. They had a consensual relationship. She trusted him, and so when he invited her over, she didn't hesitate. At some point during that night, Trey asked her to come upstairs. She assumed it was for privacy. In fact, she was looking forward to normal relations with him. But the second they started...
Yo, what's the word, Kevo?
Trey kept...
Happy Easter, happy 420, gang.
Can I get that?
Hope you had a good holiday, man. Real shit.
Then he asked again.
How you feeling?
He said no again. But he just wouldn't stop. Until finally, she added that her answer would not change. And
this nigga Trey Songz is wow.
To be clear, what he meant by that was backdoor.
Tiger. Damn. See Breezy.
If you remember, she was
fuck away from that nigga.
Regular interaction at this point. So she is just expressing her boundaries around her preferred interaction.
Trey Songz, he one of them niggas like he got a problem with the word no. Like he feels though everything should go his way with a bitch. Like no, she's not.
It's escalated fast. Before Jane could
she got the right to say no, gang.
Ripped off her pants, pinned her down, and started doing the unthinkable. Backdooring Miss Jane Doe without her consent. She screamed and he continued. She fought and he continued.
Damn.
She begged him to stop, but he didn't. He continued on, ignoring her pain. And then someone walked in the room. For a brief second, she thought this was it. This was her chance to escape. But they quickly left after not really realizing what was going on. And that's when she lost all hope for a savior. And finally he stopped after satisfying himself. Once the opportunity showed, she grabbed her pants and sprinted out of the house.
This nigga out here.
Leaving her underwear behind in the room. Humiliated and broken, she called for an Uber. But when the driver
they
immediately noticed something was wrong, and sensing Jane's distress, they drove her straight to the emergency room. At Providence Joseph Medical Center in Burbank, California, Jane received treatment and got a kit done. This is when staff would discover tearing in her nether regions. She was counseled, she was safe. But then the hospital did something she hadn't anticipated.
Happy 420, you already know Friday show right now, man.
Especially with the evidence Trey had.
I got some shit in the vault, boy.
But you see, Jane was really...
I only smoked 2 blunts today, though, Chad. I ain't never do it.
And she just wasn't ready to talk. Police...
Shit, I worked out today, too, y'all. I worked out 6 times this week. Went to the gym 6 times this week.
Voice. It would take 6 entire years for Jane to step forward with the help of her attorneys, George Verbeck and Ariel E. Mitchell. During this process, Jane Doe was invited to another party. This one unrelated to Trey Songz, but they were both guests. And when
I think I drank more than I smoked today.
saw her at this party, he wasted no time in calling her profanities and a liar. Then he used his position of power to get security to kick her from the event. Jane decided she needed to start anew. She changed her hair color and moved to another state. But Trey apparently got another musician to threaten her, saying, "Keep his name out of your effing mouth or I'll kill you." This is when she changed the color of her hair again and planned a different move. Meanwhile, Trey's defense was working hard, using the statute of limitations to try and weasel him out. For a moment, it looked like nothing could be done for her. But in 2023, Jane and her team successfully refiled. And in 2024, she won via settlement for $25 million.
But wait, there's more.
People may think technically I could say this really happened, but the conditions of this settlement are really murky. And this wasn't a criminal case, it was a civil one. So legally, I can only say that these allegations held up in civil court and a settlement was presented to Jane Doe. On to the next incident.
Keke Palmer.
2017, Keke Palmer.
This nigga, like...
It's early 2017. Keke Palmer, actress, singer.
Hey. Keke. What up?
All-around powerhouse is in Miami. She's invited to a house party hosted by R&B star Trey Songz.
And I've known Trey since I was 12 and kept in touch with him consistently, but I've known him, he's seen me throughout my life. We were signed to the same label under the same production manager when I was a kid. So it's always been love whenever I seen him. I knew he was in Miami, he's doing a party, cool, I'm gonna come through. Me and my friends came through, it was a good time.
Music is bumping, people are dancing.
You shouldn't have been with him. You shouldn't have been with him, Keke. It hit different. You shouldn't have been with him.
Until cameras start to come out. Trey's team starts filming. They're shooting a music video for his remix on a song called Pick Up the Phone.
Keke Palmer from like Robbins, Illinois, chat. Bro, she from Chicago, I thought.
Where Keke notices they're aiming the lens right
where Dwayne Wade from.
Then uncomfortable. Then flat out tells them, no, I don't want to be filmed.
They start playing a song that I happen to be in. They start saying like they want me to be in it. One person asks me, I say no. Another person asks me, I'm like, no. People keep asking me. Now, mind you, they've been giving food, they've been giving drinks, and I'm just starting to feel like, yo, I'm being like cornered. And I'm not in a professional situation. Like, I came here for a party, but I'm being pressured.
Like, what gives, bro?
I'm not in the right mind. I'm under the influence, and I don't feel like it's fair that I'm having to deal with this right now.
She says it multiple times. No consent, no contract, no clearance. And then it gets weird. Keke later claimed that she felt so cornered, so uncomfortable, that she literally hid in the closet to avoid being on camera.
What?
I got so overwhelmed with what to do, didn't know what to do. My Uber wasn't gonna get there in quick enough time. So I was like, what do I do in this meantime? I know the shit sounds comical as fuck, but y'all, I hid in the goddamn closet.
I would've, hey, back y'all ass up.
She says Trey and his team kept trying to film her despite her.
I would've, hey, back y'all ass up.
Pressured, unsafe, and disrespected.
Yeah.
Fast forward a few days, the video drops. Guess who's in it? Keke Palmer. Clips of her looking uncomfortable ended up in the final cut, and she was furious.
You guys, I'm honestly so upset and so livid that Trey Songz put me in his artist's video because I told him I didn't want to be in that goddamn video. I really don't like conflict, and I didn't want to. He's like, yo, Keke, if you don't want to be in a pop-up video shoot,
don't like that shit, gang.
That's fine. And it's all good, like it's good, sis. Flash forward. I'm in the fucking video. I'm in the video. Then I'm thinking back, oh, I'm in the video because when I was getting pressured, they had set me down. He had set me down on the couch like, this is the idea I have, da-da-da. But I had no idea that they was filming.
She took to called out Trey directly and said she was filmed without permission, using sexual intimidation. Her exact words being, no means no.
Oh, bro, no means motherfucking no, nigga.
It did not matter to you. This wasn't just a...
Hey, no mean no. Let me get a shirt that say that.
This was about boundaries, about power.
No mean no, bitch ass nigga.
Women, even famous ones, can be ignored when they speak up.
But is it right? The thing is we're then telling girls that it's okay for them to be in weird and awkward and, potentially sexually harassing environments.
Right.
And they should endure it and not say nothing about it. That's why I said something about it, because it's like, look, it happens to me too.
Trey responded,
Me too movement.
claimed Kiki knew what was going on, said he wasn't that invested in putting her in the video. But that didn't fly with a lot of people, because Kiki had receipts. She went on to the Breakfast Club and later...
This shit bogus as hell. Hey, Kev, no man, no, man.
Violating and being famous to
this shit
people
awful.
Can steamroll over your consent.
But this is what it mean, though. This what it mean to be a lame ass nigga with money. Like, you gonna be doing shit like this. I'm not like trying to diss nobody, but it shows. If you got money and you still gotta like force a bitch to do something, try to like make her uncomfortable, nigga, you're lame, gang. I ain't gonna lie. Cause they should be going just off the strength of them wanting to fuck with you, bruh.
For a reason. And I feel like so many times black women say stuff and nobody gives a shit. Excuse my language. Nobody gives a fuck when sometimes black women say something. But somebody of another complexion, somebody of another color,
for sure.
they say something.
No mean no.
And it's like, we're taking it to court. It's time to get serious.
WKev in the chat.
Hashtag me too.
Which brings us to the end of the year. 2017 Jahara Jeffries. December 31st, 2017, New Year's Eve, Jahara Jeffries was enjoying her night at Diddy's private mansion.
Hold on, y'all heard that? She was enjoying herself where?
At Diddy's private bash in Star Island Mansion. And
that sound like a motherfucking Mario map.
December 31st, 2017, New Year's Eve, Jahara Jeffries was enjoying her night at Diddy's private bash in Star Island Mansion. And
that sounds like a fucking Mario map, gang. Diddy's what the fuck is it called? One more time. I'm trying to get my knowledge and shit up.
At Diddy's private bash in Star Island Mansion.
Star Island Mansion. That shit sound like some, you know what I'm saying, some funny business ass shit.
In its own right, but in an ironic twist, Diddy would have nothing to do with this. After spending a couple hours at Diddy's party, Jahara and her friends decided to head to 11, a popular Miami nightclub. As they were arranging their Uber to the club, Trey Songz overheard their conversation and invited them to ride in his vehicle. Jahara, starstruck but unsuspecting, agreed, but immediately noticed that Trey Songz was absolutely wasted, as he had been served alcohol all night at Diddy's party. Once inside the club, Trey led them to a VIP section where the music pulsed and the lights strobed. Jahara began dancing on a couch, like literally on top of a couch. Nothing out of the ordinary. But according to her, that's when everything shifted. She alleges Trey suddenly reached under her dress and attempted to do things with his fingers without warning, without her consent. When she turned around, he pulled his hand back like nothing had ever happened. Stunned, Jahara sat down trying to make sense of what just occurred. In another
you don't try to give a bitch hold her hand or nothing, gang. You just go right for the kill. Oh, bro, he just started getting right to touching.
Women in their group leaned in and whispered something chilling. Girl, he did the same thing to me.
Oh shit.
Further to say, he slid a hand down her pants and groped her butt without consent. That's when Jahara felt a rush of unease all over that lingered for the rest of the night. She kept telling herself that she was overreacting. It was just a simple mistake. He was just trying to gauge how much she liked him, and now that he knew she wasn't down for it, nothing more.
You think he was done? Nah.
After the party, they all got into Trey Songz' vehicle to head back, and that's when Trey removed his shirt and began acting erratically. Fearing another incident, Jahara pulled out her phone and began recording him. And when he noticed, he immediately lunged at her and tried to grab her. He didn't get very far, and that's when he ordered the driver to stop. Moments later, she was forcibly kicked out of the car and left on the side of the road. Jahara filed a civil lawsuit in Florida, accusing Trey Songz of serious things. His team denied the allegation, calling them meritless. But to Jahara, this wasn't just a bad night. It was trauma that she says will haunt her forever. And if her account is true, then beneath the lights and luxury of that New Year's celebration was something far darker. And before we go on, I have to state yet again for legal reasons, these are all just allegations in one place, not proof of guilt or claims of absolute truth. Please exercise caution and do your own research before attempting to start a witch hunt. And don't forget to subscribe. 2018, Andrea Boeda.
Bro, this nigga has done something every fucking year.
2018, Los Angeles was packed. NBA All-Star Weekend had transformed the city into a playground for celebrities, athletes, A-listers from every corner of the entertainment world. And among them was Andrea Buera, a student and aspiring entrepreneur. Andrea had been invited to a party at a rented home in the Hollywood Hills, a party Trey Songz was also attending. According to the rumors, she and him had a romantic but not exclusive relationship. And according to Andrea, things were going fine until she spoke to another man at the party. It was casual, friendly, but Trey, who she said had been watching, didn't like what he saw. She claims he approached her in a rage, and before she could process what was happening, he allegedly grabbed her by the neck and began f***ing her. Then, she says, he punched her hard, multiple times in front of other people. Andrea was left bruised, battered, and in pain. The next day, she went to the hospital where doctors diagnosed her with a concussion. She said she suffered migraines, vomiting, and trauma from the incident, and she wasn't going to stay silent. Weeks later, Andrea held a press conference with high-profile attorney Lisa Bloom. With cameras rolling, she described the assault publicly and asked one thing from Trey Songz: an apology.
My name is Andrea Buera, and on the morning of February 17th, 2018, I was assaulted by Tremaine Neverson, also known as Trey Songz. I was attending an after party when Trey began yelling at me, f***ing me, f***ing me, and ultimately he knocked me to the ground. While I was on the ground, he continued f***ing me, and he did not stop until his security guard pulled him off of me.
She also called on witnesses to come forward, saying she knew there were other people at that party who saw it all. Trey didn't respond with an apology. Instead, he denied everything. I am being lied on and falsely accused for someone's personal gain. The case went to law enforcement, but ultimately the LA District Attorney and City Attorney declined to file charges, citing insufficient evidence. Still, Andrea didn't stop, and in August 2018,
cat all over the damn setup.
Damages. Trey's legal team fought back, claiming self-defense, that whatever had happened was in response to some threat against him. As the civil case dragged on, several people who were at that party that night came forward, but not to support Andrea's claims.
They want to get down, nigga.
You see, witness after witness reportedly said they saw Andrea start the altercation. She was actually the aggressor. Users online would even note that her story kept changing. As a result,
I'm about to say, it sounded like she was lying, though. Oh, no.
Andrea and her team held on, stating that Trey Songz was the real agitator of the story. But with witnesses saying otherwise, Andrea quietly dropped the lawsuit with prejudice, meaning the lawsuit could never be refiled, and the decision was final. No one knows for sure why this case was dropped. There was no settlement announced and no statement was made. I understand that this story is a curveball. This channel has a mission to be unbiased, so make no mistake, I am not here to create a narrative.
2019 he did something?
2020,
okay.
Powell and Eliza Jane. April 6, 2020, Eliza Jane sat down for a now infamous podcast interview. She laughed nervously as she spoke, sharing a crazy story from a wild night out. She said it started out consensual. She was seeing Trey Songz, they were intimate, but then things shifted. She claimed that after one encounter, Trey took her phone and her purse and wouldn't let her leave his hotel room.
One of the nastiest things you've ever done. Let's hear it.
I got on too. Not that I didn't know what was happening. He just did it. He just like.
Please say who?
Trey Songz. But every I know that him says the same. Like.
Yeah, I think
and
his
he's psycho. Like he took my phone and my purse away for like a whole day. Held it over the balcony. Was like, if you try and leave, I'm gonna drop it. I'm like,
but y'all didn't want to believe me. Okay.
And he
did the same thing to her. Like he just does the same. He's like weird.
On the surface, Eliza didn't seem rattled. In fact, she laughed while telling the story. But if you were really listening, you could hear something else underneath. Discomfort, shock, like she hadn't fully processed what exactly happened to her.
Yeah, that's
now, if
weird.
you've been on the internet for the past 5 years, the name Selena Powell might already raise your eyebrows. She's made a brand out of exposing famous men, rappers, athletes, entertainers, and when she jumped in to co-sign Eliza's story, things escalated really fast.
You know, like when something like happens to you kind of traumatically, you kind of like laugh it off. like when I talk about it, I'm like laughing or like, you know, because I really don't want it to like settle in type. But the truth is the fucking truth, and it kind of fucks me up.
She said she even filed a police report, but later dropped it after being allegedly threatened. These are big accusations, but they never reached a courtroom.
I dropped the charges on Tremaine because I was moving into the building and he said that he was gonna make it very uncomfortable for me to live there.
No charges, no lawsuit, just their word and his denial. Trey fired back.
That's some Diddy shit.
He said the allegations were fake. People were trying.
LA, I'll drop a pin. Text me. Beverly Hills. No, I'm downtown. Get Uber. You need to unblock me. They dropped the low. Catch an Uber. Okay. What's the Addy? On my way. I can only.
On the right wave of Me Too. He even posted what looked like old messages from Eliza, but screenshots don't prove consent. And to this day, there's been no court date, no official record.
Trey getting off.
Only
He ice Trey the game.
In the world of fame, filters, and fuzzy lines between clout and crime, some stories don't end with justice.
This nigga the stepfather. What the fuck?
Into obscurity.
This ass a stepfather, folks.
2021, Tyrell Dunn.
Tyrell.
November 28th, 2021, Las Vegas, Nevada. Trey Songz had just turned 37, and to celebrate, he and his entourage hit Dry's nightclub, bottle service, VIP lounges, and an after party that would go down in infamy. According to witnesses, Trey and his crew invited a group of women back to their hotel suite at the Cosmopolitan. One of the women who went back to the room that night was the wife of Tyrell Dunn, a Maryland Capitol police officer. It's unclear why this grown married woman was in a hotel room with Trey Songz and his entourage, but according to reports, she was escorted to the room by security and told she was going to meet Trey Songz. Once inside, she quickly realized something was off. Her phone was taken away, and when she tried to leave, she was stopped. Meanwhile, downstairs, her husband, Tyrell, had no idea where his wife was and went searching to find her. According to the complaint, Tyrell heard his wife screaming for help and reported she was being held against her will. Without hesitation, he rushed to the hotel room, pushing past security, determined to save his wife. And that's when things turned violent, because the moment Tyrell arrived at room 6014, he was reportedly ambushed.
Damn.
Not by just one person, not by just two, but by Trey Songz and his entire security team. Now, if you're imagining a fair fight, just don't. If you've ever seen the Powerpuff Girls, you would think Tyrell's real name was Mojo Jojo. The way they handled this man was bad, and as he laid there bloodied and broken, his attackers took his money and his chain, leaving him humiliated and helpless. And
they did this to a cop?
His wife was still in that room. Actually, just so we're clear, I haven't even read a single thing that says his wife actually didn't even want to be there. Not a single statement, nothing denouncing Trey Songz. Kinda weird.
Yeah. And that was a police officer? What the fuck?
All the information from this event comes from Tyrell and his legal team. So, yeah. Trey Songz stole his wife. Security at the Cosmopolitan
beat his ass,
called 911.
took his chain, robbed him.
The scene was chaotic. Report of fights, theft, and an alleged beatdown all poured in at once. And while Trey Songz and his crew weren't immediately arrested, the investigation kicked off.
I know a nigga he wasn't trying to fight though. That's what I'm saying. Boxing rules all. Terrence Crawford told his ass shit, shorty. They was like betting to some shit. Trey Songz ass tried to like, I guess like, Crawford won the bet and he said like run that shit back, and then like they ran that shit back. He wasn't trying to pay again. Crawford, he started like talking crazy. Crawford told his ass like, nigga, we can go in this room over here, ain't nobody gonna hear shit but you screaming, like you screaming and crying for help. And they said that cooled that nigga down. Shit, he ain't touch Terrence Crawford. Oh God, he ain't touch Terrence Crawford.
Rather quickly. For months,
and I heard that shit
evidence.
A while back.
2022, they made their decision. No criminal charges.
That nigga Trey Songz need to be stopped.
Case closed. Well, not quite. You see, Tyrell Dunn wasn't done fighting. And if police weren't going to hold Trey Songz accountable, then maybe a civil court would. And in October 2024, the courts agreed. Trey Songz hit with an $11.2 million default judgment. Now, if you're wondering how that happened, it's actually pretty simple. Trey Songz never responded to the lawsuit. for 2 years, he allegedly ignored it. And in the world of law, silence isn't cheap. It's expensive. But just when Dunn thought that he won, Trey pulled a classic celebrity move. He claimed that he never knew about the lawsuit, that he didn't know he owed millions of dollars to this man. And get this, he said he only found out when fans started messaging him on Instagram. That's right, not his lawyers, not the court, just some random people sliding into his DMs saying, "Yo, you just lost $11 million. Are you okay?"
Like
so his legal team jumped into action, arguing that he was never properly served a lawsuit. And in January 2025, a judge actually agreed. The $11.2 million judgment wiped.
They been giving this nigga, he been getting off.
The story isn't over. Dunn's lawyers are coming back with a brand.
She didn't even have to pay the 11 mil back. What the fuck?
They want to drag everyone else into court. The security team, the hotel, everyone else tied to that night. Because as they see it, justice hasn't been served. Not yet.
But there's also
somebody gotta put the pause on this nigga.
I just can't help to
Winter. Oh my.
Like, when are we gonna like focus on the that matters? You get what I mean? Like, people are like actively beating and women in Hollywood and then just like brushing it off because they're fine and they're sexy. Like, you get what I mean? And I'm not gonna lie, I was friends with Trey Songz for years and he never did anything to me either. And then one day he did.
On to the next incident.
Now I've heard about Trey Songz.
Winter Frost.
Like, I mean, like Trishas that I've been with have a story about Trey Songz. Yeah, you wife Selena Powell. It's corroborated by other people. Bro, I don't know what that is, bro. Like, Trey got to stand accountable for this, or I'm gonna be honest with you, his legacy is gonna go down like R. Kelly.
2022, Jane Doe.
This nigga's done something
October
every year,
2022, Trey Songz was at the Gutter, a bowling alley on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. He arrived with some fine shit. At some point in the night, the two headed towards the bathroom, and that's when the female employee intervened. She told Trey he couldn't enter the bathroom with his girlfriend. It was simply against company rules, and simply...
This nigga finna crash out.
What happened next was extremely violent. Trey began striking the employee, hitting her multiple times.
Damn!
But he didn't stop there. He even dragged her by her hair, like she was a bowling ball. Her boyfriend, who was also present at the venue, heard the commotion and stepped in to defend her. And when police arrived, they found a 33-year-old man reporting pain to his left eye, saying Trey had him several times in the bathroom as well.
That nigga pinged this shit.
An investigation. But it wasn't until November 30th, more than a month later, that Trey was arrested and hit with over 10 charges. Trey's attorney, Mitchell Schuster, issued a public statement calling the incident a minor altercation. Following the incident, the Gutter implemented new staff rules. Employees are no longer allowed to bring their partners to work. And as a result, the female employee who initially
got fired.
Trey Songz was promptly fired.
Wow.
I just have to say, personally, this is really effed up, and I'm never supporting the Gutter ever in my life.
Yeah, fuck the Gutter.
And in May,
fuck bowling, nigga.
Most of the charges would miraculously drop, only leaving disorderly conduct for Trey Songz to be punished by. Trey's team would be elated for this news, as he only had to attend 12 anger management classes to put the case behind him. And this, like many other allegations, would vanish into thin air until the next incident happened in December 2021, where former UNLV basketball star Dylan Gonzalez sent shockwaves through social media with a single blunt accusation.
Who is this?
Trey Songz is a Lord forgive me. No context, no details, just a name and a claim that could not be ignored. She later stated that Songz had targeted her in a Las Vegas Sin City hotel room. Her legal team described him as a serial predator, adding weight to an already growing list of disturbing accusations. She further clarified her post online, stating, "With what seems like endlessly reoccurring news of the alleged sex assault committed by Trey Songz, I am forced to repeatedly relive in my mind and suffer anew the long-suppressed horror and unbearable PTSD of by his very hands at a well-known Las Vegas hotel. I want to send my love, strength, and hope to all who are victims of sex and its fatal nature. You are not alone. I stand with you and encourage all those who have suffered abuse to speak out and come forward. Suppression of our voices only emboldens our oppressors, and you cannot heal what you do not reveal. At this time, I humbly request my privacy, consideration, and compassion while I fully commit to pursue the best course of action and all of my legal options." Trey Songz denied these claims outright. His lawyer dismissed Dylan's statements as baseless and opportunistic. Meanwhile, the legal system remained largely unresponsive, just as it had with previous allegations against the singer. As we already covered in this video, actress Keke Palmer had accused him of coercion years prior, and another woman alleged in 2020. None of these incidents had led to any significant.
None stuck on this nigga.
By 2022, Dylan pursued legal action, but the case quietly faded from public attention. Whether it was settled or dismissed behind closed doors, the details never surfaced. No major charges were filed, and the outcome of her lawsuit remains unclear even to this day.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is the story time of when I was trapped at a famous R&B artist's house.
What the fuck?
If you can watch it all the way through, from beginning to end,
then you'll understand that he must be taught a lesson.
Extra info. This video is super long, and honestly there's much more smaller stories we can cover, so I'm just going to run through some of the other more famous stories right now, but just realize there's like other allegations that I am not covering in this video just because of the mere length of everything, okay? In December 2017, at a strip club in Philadelphia, Trey slapped a phone out of a fan's hands and into her face, causing her glasses to break. During a Cardi B show at the Hollywood Palladium in May 2019, Trey was sued after allegedly punching a bartender after he jumped on the bar to sit on it. When he was informed that it was against the policy of the venue, he ignored the warning. At that point, the bartender reached over to try and get his attention.
This nigga rambunctious as hell.
And knocked him in the head. Then he looked at the
this nigga ain't got no fucking home training, chat.
The show. Sarunas Jackson, an actor most known for playing Dro on Insecure, called out Trey for apparently trying to fight women, but then turning down fights when men would step in to protect those women.
And they do that thing where they were trying to sell this tough guy scene, like this one Trey Songz. Try to press women, you know what I'm saying? But then would turn down the fade when it came up to him for the fade. Turn it down. I'm not cool with like that. I'll try to knock out, keep running, but like he wants to fight women and stuff like that, and to me, I can't operate like that.
In January 2021, Trey was caught on video beating up a police officer in Kansas City, Missouri, during an NFL match.
Beat ass to the police.
Claimed prior to being approached by the officer, Trey was being heckled by others in the stands for not wearing a mask, and he asked them to be quiet. Then they claimed the officer approached him and allegedly got physical without warning. So basically, this is another case of self-defense for Trey Songz. 4 months later, in May 2021, after an argument with a random woman, Trey bumped his car into hers, causing her to get out and confront him, and that's when he sped past her and hit her hand with his vehicle. Luckily, her hand was not injured, although
nigga did a hit and run?
How bad the bump to her car was. There's definitely a very common theme of Trey Songz getting into altercations with women, like all of the time. But I have to remind everyone that these are all just allegations, regardless of how you make it.
He ain't get caught of shit.
He has not been charged.
He ain't get caught with nothing.
However, I definitely think if even half of these stories are true, Trey Songz has a lot of things to work with.
Shit, everybody ain't lying, folks.
True. I would definitely label him as an evil, narcissistic piece of shit that deserves nothing but life in prison and a life full of criticism and harsh words thrown at him. But that's just my opinion, and it only really applies if any of this is true. So you make up your own minds about it. And I'll leave with this. Words from our first alleged victim. It's the same with him, story after story. The women get knocked down, he's not being held accountable at all. Thank you guys for watching Actually Evil. Please consider liking and becoming an ally of evil by hitting that subscribe button down below, and consider signing up to my mailing list so you can never miss another video. Thank you and everyone else for making this possible by supporting me. And peace.
D-Mark got that heat.
Never again, I lost my man. I seen the ops they ran. We pull up blocks, too many Glocks.